watching Faith World TV. Faith World TV, changing the world with the Word of God.
A very good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you're watching us. Yes, it's a brand new show, brand new week for us here. And I'm excited as always. You know, I have a very, very interesting guests that I bring to you every now and again. But this one here is exclusive. It's special because the first time I interviewed her was 2012. Then I interviewed her again in 2013. She just reminded me. It's been 13 years I've been following her great work. She's a celebrated woman of God. She is a celebrated serial entrepreneur, social caregiver, just an amazing woman of substance that, you know, her humanitarian work takes her as far as Haiti, Ghana, Barbados, and everywhere else. Help me welcome the one and only Jennifer Lapompe.
Thank you. Wow, who's that girl?
Who's that girl?
Who's that girl?
I'm telling you. And you haven't changed. You're still the gorgeous Jennifer, the smiley Jennifer, the giver. But for me, most important, you're still carrying on with your humanitarian work. You're still an entrepreneur. You're still supporting the youth. Absolutely incredible. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me back on 13 years later. It's my honor to be here.
And so it is actually, you deserve being celebrated because it's been 20 years you've been on this journey, 25 actually.
Longer than that.
Longer.
Much longer than that.
Much longer.
Yeah.
But I know that you have a care home that you just celebrated 25 solid years.
Yeah.
Now that's determination, that's dedication, that's excellent. Now, let's start from the top. You were born in Barbados and then came to the UK at the age of
9.
Yeah.
Under duress. I didn't want to leave my island.
You are holding on to the trees.
Oh,
You're not going anywhere. Yes. And because obviously Barbados, beautiful country. You had a beautiful life over there. And I know that I read some of your, something about you that at the age of 15, you were already writing your business plan as a businesswoman. Now, talk us through, your inspiration from when, you were young in Barbados, then you came to the UK, and now you are this woman who is being celebrated.
Yeah, I often look back and so my dad left Barbados when I was about 1.
Right.
And my mum left 2 years before I did. But we were raised, myself and my cousins were raised by my grandmother. And one of the things I admired about my grandmother, she was an entrepreneur. So I remember coming from school at lunchtime and there'd be a queue of people and she'd be selling meat and different things. And, she was a strong woman and she was a single parent because my grandfather apparently died quite early. And so my grandmother that was really my first mentor. And so, as I said, I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to leave her. She was my mentor. And I came to London at 9, really I knew my mum, but I didn't know my dad.
Right.
And so I came to London with 2 parents who were quite distant emotionally, really, to be honest. So when people say, oh, who did you get your inspiration from? I can only say from God, because I remember as a 7-year-old, myself and my cousin Stephen, we were in the same class. And I remember a day we were brought to the headmistress and she wanted to smack us. Right. And she said, put your hands out. And I'm like, no, because you don't have the right to hit me. Yes. And I was a 7-year-old, like, where did you get that from?
Yes.
And so, so I came to London and it was a strange country for me because the language was strange, the food was strange. But there was something on the inside of me that told me I was enough. And I can't explain it.
And you knew right away that that's where you were going to make it.
Yes, I look back and I reflect and I think there wasn't anyone that I could say, well, they inspired me. It was almost like I raised myself. Right. And there was some kind of resilience within me. And I remember thinking around 14, 15, when I get older, right, I need to own property because I don't want to be reliant on the government for a pension. And that mindset kind of took me all the way through my life. So at 15, yes, I started deciding one that I was going back to Barbados. That was the one of the
that was it.
plans.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And
That was in the business plan.
and I was going to have a children's hotel.
Yes,
And when
yes.
people visited, they would drop their children off to me and go off for the weekend, and I'd
Yes,
take care of these children. Not knowing I'd end up having a children's home and not a
A
children's
children's
hotel.
home in England.
Because that
yes.
was not in my vision. But everything I did from that time on was in line with having a business.
Right.
Driving, qualifications, study, everything was based on being able to jump off when the time came. And I had a catchphrase which said, I'll do this until it's no longer necessary. And that kept me going because I knew that my character was such that I didn't really fit into the norm or model of, I wouldn't say doing as you're
9 to
told,
5
but the 9 to 5
Yeah.
and whatever. And I was blessed because when I started my working life, I started work at 17.
That was quite early.
Yeah, I started work. I wanted to be a fashion designer, and my mum was like, "Oh, go and get an office job and whatever."
As they did.
Who's going to do
then?
that? Or
Yes.
I wanted to be a leather maker as well, leather bag maker. So anyway, I started in accounts. But what I learned very early on is that the managers were always attracted to me and my personality. So I hung out with leaders at a very young age.
Yeah,
very young age.
Sort of quite similar with me.
Yeah.
Like you almost, it's almost like you want to skip being young. You want to go straight to the top and be a leader and being an adult.
Also,
yes.
they would listen to this young girl. You know, and I remember the first job I had was with American Express. And the managers used to take me to lunch in Piccadilly with CEOs.
At that age.
It'd be me and a bunch of old men.
Yes.
But they would tell me their life story.
But they were grooming you, but grooming you positively in terms of business, which is a good type of grooming. You not the grooming that we get these days for young girls.
And I became very comfortable with being in that kind of space.
And that's where you found yourself. You belong.
It felt
there.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It really did.
Was there moments when you thought you feared that you didn't want, as you said earlier, that you didn't want to go on benefit? You didn't want to have that kind of life where you're on benefit, government paying you, and all of that. Did you fear poverty? Did you fear? Is that why you?
No. I just didn't want to be dependent on anyone. I think that was my passion is property.
Yes.
And I can't tell you where the
So at what age did you buy your first
19.
house? But you bought your first house. 19.
Yeah. I started saving. The minute I got a job, I started saving.
Right.
I saved what I earned during the day, and I worked at night, whether it was Tesco, the bingo, whatever. So I spent the money I earned in the evening, and I saved the money I made in the daytime.
Whoa.
Yeah. The consciousness was clear. From a very young age. And even when I got to the stage where I started my business, my parents thought I was crazy, like, you're leaving a good job.
Yes.
So I knew God had put something inside of me that made my pathway clear. Like I was clear that's the road I was going. So the decision about buying and having something that would provide a pension was more about, I don't want to have to wait till I get to pension age to wonder how I'm going to live. I'm going to...
Is that your inspiration, for working with young people? Because you want to guide them also to go into business, to go into, not be dependent on government and all of that.
Do you know, I came across youth work unexpectedly. So I always worked, when I did accounts for 6 years. And I used to work at the London, when I left the American Express, I worked at the London Central YMCA, which was a hotel up the top, it's still there, and a club. And the club drew in a lot of diplomats. And I was always in the club. I mean, they spoilt me rotten, the managers.
Oh, you were
and I really was. And I was always in the club. And they said to me they had a creche for the younger children of the diplomats, but they didn't know what to do with the older ones. And they said, well, you seem to get on with the kids and people. What do you think? And so my first introduction was to set up a youth club for the diplomatic children on a Saturday morning.
Fantastic.
And whilst I did that, I started to go on training because I became interested in the work. And I met people who are actually doing youth work. I call it real youth work in the inner cities because my young people had money and they were able, we made jewelry. I had a lot of arts and crafts skills. So we made jewelry, we made different things. So when I started to go on training and meet other youth workers, it really resonated with me that, it doesn't matter what your past life is or even your present. It doesn't determine your future. So for me, it was really just important to impart them on some of the young people that I encountered that this isn't all your life.
This isn't all your life, yes.
It's
whatever mistakes you've made.
Yeah, so I think,
past.
so that was the catalyst for me. And I remember being on a training course and it was around 81 and they said, oh, what are you going to do in 2 years' time? The general question. And I said, well, I would have stopped doing accounts, trained full time, and I'd be doing this. And that's what I did. 2 years after that, I went on a training course to study as a community worker, which gave me a dual qualification of community work and youth work. And I missed the perks because I was spoiled. I started to live in the real world.
The way you're telling this story, it just seemed like it was so easy to go into youth work.
Yeah.
Yet, from the beginning, I learned that you loved property and you'd have gone into real estate.
Yeah.
But then you diverted to youth work.
I think life impacts on you depending on who you are with, and because my parents had this notion we're going to just be in England for a while and go back home, they took long to buy their own property. So there wasn't anyone around me who could say, yeah, your love of property is okay, or your love of wanting fashion is okay, or
nobody encouraged you.
Yeah.
If anything, they said you
discouraged.
You can find an office job.
Absolutely.
Or become a teacher or a doctor.
Yeah. So absolutely. So so when I trained as a community worker, it was this idea that that would be your career. But I've definitely been blessed because I trained as a community worker and I got a job even before I finished my studies. And again, people recognized something in me and I soon became a senior worker and then a manager. And social work came unexpectedly because when I started my training in Deptford, which is one of the most deprived areas of South London, I was at a community centre, and the community centre had a counsellor, a young women's project, and a youth centre. And some of and it was 2 years after the Deptford fire, so there's a lot of unrest and so on in the area.
Yes.
And I went into the community centre. I was really curious about why not many people used it. And so I went.
Listen to the message, press 1.
I went.
To save it, press message received today at 4:12 p.m. To listen to the message, press 1.
Oh dear,
To save it,
I
press
think they were
2.
trying to ring in.
Message received today
Is
at
somebody there?
4:12 p.m. To listen to the message, press
Hello?
1. To save it, press 2. To delete
Okay.
it, press 3. To disable SMS text delivery system on the...
Can you call back again, please? We're not listening to your messages. Oh dear. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
let's
when
come
I
back.
was
Yes.
when I was studying, so the course was 2 years,
Yes.
and we had to work 3 days, and there was a lot of young people, especially the young men, were getting involved with the criminal activities, and I used to spend a lot of time with them.
Right.
And what was interesting in being at the community centre is that a lot of the youth workers weren't able to get through to.
Hopefully we're not going through to the voice note.
4,
Okay.
6, 4,
We do have an interesting
To listen
caller
to the
today.
message,
They're not getting through.
They're not getting through, and instead they want to leave us a message. Please get through and talk to us. Okay, let's carry on again.
Yeah, so I worked with a lot of young people who
Yes.
were getting involved with the criminal justice system. So I convinced the college that even though I was doing a community work course, I convinced them to let me move from the community centre after a year to probation.
Right.
And so the probation was more than willing to receive me because I challenged them around the social aspects of crime. And so for a year I did that. And what that gave me was the experience to then move straight into social services
Right.
and work with the young offenders that were coming through the social care system.
So you were thrown into the deep end.
Yeah, I think that work found me.
Because you've come from taking care of children of diplomats,
yes,
who were not offenders, and then transition into young offenders. How did you transition? I
think what I learned was that there's something about my personality that allows young people to be themselves.
Patience,
Not even. I think whether it's that or it's. I'll give you an example. I used to hug some of the young people who would be walking with knives and guns, and they'd be struggling. Let me go, Jenny. But I was able to get through to them. Yeah, and I realized that no matter what your life looks like, at the fundamental level, you still want to be cared for and seen.
And maybe some of them, after committing all these crimes and even whatever they are carrying, they feel like the world is against them.
Not only that,
that's really a special feel that you've got there.
Not only that, they move from a place of instilling fear in others. So I tell you, a lot of the workers at the community centre were scared of these young people. And they would tell them, the only person who can come to my house and speak to my mum is this woman, me. And some of the youth workers would park far away. So I knew that there was something that I had that was able to engage them.
Right.
So after doing the training, and I said I got a job before I finished, it was in what we call intermediate treatment. So that was really working with young offenders who were coming through the care system, trying to keep them out of the court system. It was sort of that. So they're already with social workers heading for custody.
Right.
And so that gave me a mixture of the two disciplines, because up until then I really didn't appreciate social work. I felt it was sticking plasters on wounds. I didn't feel they really got to the grip of what was going on.
I think they went deep.
So I moved between community work and social work. So when I went back to community work, I was given a senior job where I was responsible for all the youth work and all the community work in a London borough. So that gave me access to executive committees and quite influential people in that arena. So I sat on executive committees and were able to make decisions. I worked with an organisation called NACRO. We went into prison. So I was exposed to a lot of different levels of intervention for young people and so on. Then I moved straight into social work to run a centre for the young offenders. But at the time, there were 2 centres and they wanted to close one.
Right.
And so one of the other things that I'm able to do is develop projects.
Right.
And so I said to the director, look, the guy that ran the other centre is more excited about keeping it than I am. I don't really care. Let me write a proposal for a service that keeps young people out of care, because you've got a service that keeps them out of custody. Let me do something.
Them also out of care.
So they said, how much do you think it costs? I had to do a proposal. They went with it. They gave me a building, they gave me a budget, they gave me a team of staff. And that was my entry into social work. So I'm like, well, how did I get into social care? I didn't want to be in there. But, after that, because I'd already done a level of study, I thought, well, let me do my social work diploma. And I did that in 6 months because I'd had the other qualification. And so, very quickly I became a senior manager. So I was in the midst of social work and I was able to make decisions about what the best practice was for young people.
Wow.
When I started my company, because I had the motto, I'll do this until it was no longer necessary.
Right.
So I knew that I said I'd given myself a time scale to start my business, and I did it a year before the time scale. I'm not going to say what age because I don't want to give away my age.
No, you don't do that on telly. You do not give up your age.
Yeah. So when I started the company, it was never to have a children's home.
Right.
But what I had a reputation for, and I tell people this who are thinking about business, don't wait until you start the business to...
Shall we try and see that there's no voice not being left? Hello, hi. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hi.
Okay, my name is Jessie, your daughter that is getting married Forky, calling from Nigeria.
Ah, you see, even we have daughters in Nigeria. How are you?
Hi.
Just several messages for you on WhatsApp, but that is by the way.
Okay. we're live with Jennifer here. So do you have a question for Jennifer?
Yes,
Or you want to say?
I want to speak. I don't know if my time will be enough, but I want to speak with Jennifer.
Okay.
Hi.
Go ahead.
All right, good evening. Thank you. First of all, thank you for opening your hands to the youth. I have a question. In a situation that as a youth, because I'm a youth and I'm getting married next weekend, as a youth, you are trying your best to make out something from life, to make out something. And then nothing is working out, no hope, nothing. In a situation like that, when you don't have anybody to rely on, nobody wants to listen to you. People see you as... Hello?
Yeah,
yes,
we can
we're
hear
here.
you.
I thought my time had finished. People see you as a failure. In a situation like that, as a youth, what should you do? When you are not lazy, you know you are not lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer, go ahead. Yeah.
So what I would tell you firstly is you're your biggest resource. And so it's more important for you to believe in who you are than what other people believe to be true. One of the questions I would ask you to ask yourself is, what do you believe? Do you believe you're good enough? Do you believe you have what it takes to do whatever it is you want to do, and to just plan ahead? And you can take journey goals. Journey goals would take you on your end goals. So you just decide what it is you want to start with and take that first step. One of the things about moving forward and really reaching for the things you want is the fear. And it's often the fear of judgment, the fear that I'm not good enough, the fear that people are going to judge me, and the fear of failure. Once you look at those things and think, okay, I can get through all of that and get beyond the fear. And if you are a woman of faith, you pray and you ask God to help you with that. Take the risk.
But Jennifer, prayer with no action.
You got to take. You got to take the risk.
Forget and it's just pray morning, lunch, evening. But where's the action in
pray
between?
Without works is dead. Take the risk.
I do like what you said. To ask yourself, what do you believe?
So important.
I always say also ask yourself, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? Because a lot of people will come and tell you who you
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your ex-husband might say who you are. Your friends will say who you are.
Yeah.
Your parents will say who you are. Your teacher, even your own teacher will say who you are. Your own teacher will say you'll never make it.
Or they plant doubts in your mind. Are you sure?
Who are you?
Yeah.
And once you look in the mirror and be comfortable with yourself and say who you are to yourself, then that's it. It's so important. It's a done deal. I think we do have someone on the line. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from London.
Oh, hi, Sandra. Do you have some positive words for Jennifer or some questions?
Yes, I do. Yes, I was trying to get on for the last 10 minutes.
Is that you that was leaving us voice notes?
Oh, it might be.
Yeah. Well, finally, we are happy to hear your voice, Sandra. So go on.
Amen.
So speak to Jennifer.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Sandra. Sandra knows me.
Hello.
She works with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
So what questions have you got for Jennifer?
Oh, I wasn't prepared one.
Well, just share what you want to.
But what words of encouragement? I mean, you know that Jennifer is an incredible woman of substance.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, gosh, yes.
Where do you start?
Apart from her being my boss, she's wonderful, I must say.
Yes.
And she's quite down to earth as well. But when she's ready to get in business, we can't mess about with her.
Yes.
But she's very helpful.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Are you there, Sandra? Okay, I think we've lost Sandra. We lost her, but I know she has to be very careful what she's saying. But she seems very inspired, Your line of work, as I said earlier, it takes a lot of dedication and determination because you're dealing with young people from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
young people who have gone through so much, and then you place yourself there as a professional. You're trying to understand them. It's almost like they're your children as
Yeah.
well. I mean, most times when people go into this type of this line of work, it's because of maybe their background, they lack something, or maybe people are not there for them in the family.
Absolutely.
But I mean, yours is different, isn't that right? Oh, okay, we do have a caller. Hi,
Hi, my name is Martin
where are you calling from?
from London.
From London. Now we have Jennifer on the show, and we are celebrating her, over, I don't want to reveal how many years because my goodness, we're not revealing age here. We're
Hi,
women.
Marlon.
But so many years of
Hi, Jenny.
doing amazing youth work. So what positive words do you have for Jennifer, or any questions with
Well,
regards
I've
to her
known
line of
Jenny
work?
all my life, and she's
Oh.
got some wise words on me when I was younger.
Yes.
She once said to me, chase your goals rather than chase money. And I used to debate all my life to go, oh, she's all right because she's successful. But it was wise words. So I'd like her to expand on these words.
Chase your goals. How old are you?
Oh, that's a mystery. I can't expose that.
I wanted to know that because if you're a youth, about chasing your goals.
I'm
Because
going to be 50 this year.
oh, really? Ah, okay. You
Yeah.
sound very youthful. But what I'm
Yeah, I'm a
saying
young
is,
spirit.
young people usually sometimes we tend to tell them, you still have time. You still have time.
But
Take your time. As a young person, you find, adults like us telling you to take your time, that you still have time, but yet Jennifer is encouraging, saying, chase your goals from a young age, keep going, chase your goals.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people put money as the carrot. But the thing is, when you're, especially in business, or you're just trying to do something, when the money don't come and the money is your goal, you give up.
Right.
You give up very quickly because
So
you're
that's
not
why you
seeing.
encourage
Yeah,
young
so
people to chase the
it's
goal,
to
not
have the
chase the
passion,
money.
and if you've got the passion and you believe in what you believe in and you believe in yourself, you will have the determination and the tenacity to keep going. And I always said to Marlon, you do that and the money will come.
Yeah, but in a world where we live in a fast world where we really need money for everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so we're always chasing the money.
Yeah.
How do you then, step back and say, I'm not chasing that money, but I'm chasing a goal?
Because I think it's planning. And I'll give you an example. Because when I started my business, when I started the care home, all my credit cards were maxed out. And I had
So you were
maxed
zero.
out. I was on zero.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how quickly I would get somebody into the care home. But the passion for having the care home was deep inside of me. Right. So when I showed up at the bank and I said to the guy at Lloyd's Bank, oh, I heard you don't lend money to people, so I've come to find out. I came with a different perspective because I believed in what I believed in. If I was thinking, oh, care homes make a lot of money, I'd be concerned about jumping from my good job into an environment where I don't know where I'm going to get that first check from.
Right.
So when I say,
went in with nothing, you dived in with nothing.
Yeah, but a belief, a strong belief, and a clear plan. Wow. And so I think that's the message I give people: a belief in yourself, belief in what you want to do, and a clear plan.
Amazing. I think the caller is still there. Are you still there? Hello. Oh, okay. We've lost the caller. It's gone. Yeah. So I think that this message that you're giving right now is timely. I think young people need it. Because I think that, I think there's a lot of young people in a hurry right now. Yeah. Because there's competition. Everybody wants to show what they have. Everybody wants to, show not what they can do, but what they have.
Absolutely. And in any business, you're going to get the highs and you're going to get the lows.
Yes.
And it's the why that keeps you going when you've got the lows. And let me tell you, in a care home business, the environment changes all the time. you can get a period where the powers that be decide we don't want children in care homes. And I remember that happened in 2007. And they took 4 of the 5 children out of my care home, and I was left with 1. Still had to pay staff, still had to pay bills. But you remember the why. So if it was always about...
But Jen, there's a paper-thin line between giving up because you can't see the future. You can't really see you making it. There's that paper-thin line between giving up and carry on. When do you decide, you know what, I am not giving up no matter what? It's like the caller from Nigeria, my daughter from Nigeria. By the way, happy wedding for next week. Is as she was saying that as a young person, you try your best, you can't see the future, and people think you're lazy, but you're really trying your best, and in fact, you want to give up everything.
Yeah.
Where is that balance? How do you get that balance, Jennifer? Because it's not easy for this.
It's not always easy, and you don't always get a balance. And I think sometimes...
Oh, did you say you don't always get a balance?
You don't always get a balance. Right. It doesn't always go in a straight line at all.
Right.
But I think when you hit the troughs, I call them.
Yes. I think we do have a caller.
Then your why...
Hi, is there...
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Ruth from Essex.
Hi, Ruth. We're here with Jennifer, and we're just, celebrating Jennifer's achievements. And
my question, Jen, well done for all you've done for the youth. My question is, what significant changes have you seen from when you first went into social work and youth work till now?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think the fundamental change, Ruth, is the level of poor mental health that presents itself for all young people. If I tell you 25 years ago when I started the care home, many of the children that came may have come because they were sexually abused, physically abused, mum or dad was an alcoholic, those sorts of issues. I can tell you now that every single child referred, and we get referrals come through every day, multiples. They've got ADHD, they've got mental health, they've got autism. There's a multitude of things that happen to these young people. They're suggesting that they are in a solo placement with a deprivation of liberty orders because they can't live with other children. I mean, it's shocking to me because I've been in social work a long time. I started social work in 1990. So it's not just 25 years at the children's home. I've been assessing children. I've been chairing reviews. I've been seeing the movement, and I've never seen such damage and such trauma in our young people ever. I think that's the fundamental.
Do you think that the government, maybe present or past, have not really put this as priorities? Is that why it's escalating?
I don't think it's that, but I think what I will talk about is child development, and children need to feel safe fundamentally at a fundamental level. Children need boundaries. Children need to have a safe space. And what the government has done is to take the power away from caregivers, whether they're parents, whether they're carers. And so children are left largely to make decisions about their life where at a mature level, they're not there yet. And then we're in a world where we've now got internet and young people are exposed to all kinds of things where the influence comes not from your parents and your friends,
but it comes from the internet.
But it comes from the internet. And they've got no way of sifting through what is right or wrong or what they need to do or not, but they want to fit in. They want the likes, they want and so it's all that. And not only that, the other significant thing that I think has impacted the mental health of children is when we were younger, and I know Ruth is probably around my age, Ruth. We won't give our years away. We went out.
No.
We went outside.
Yes.
And we played. We used our imagination. The development was more at a stage of progress that was conducive to.
But can you not bring that back, Ruth? Can that not come back? That playing outside and going out, and what do you think?
I don't think so. I think sadly, as what Jennifer said, there is a difference. I mean, the fact that we name people with letters, Gen Z, Gen Z, whatever it is, I think that in itself tells you that there's a difference in how the youth of yesteryear used to go outside. Now you can be in a room. They say they meet with their friends, but they're meeting with their friends on the phone. They're sitting next to each other, and what mixing. We were out playing, so I think society is a lot harsher. I think there's a lot more dangers out there that sometimes stop that. So I don't know whether, sadly, it can come back in the way that we probably, when we were growing up, were able to sort of skip off to the park and play out for a few hours and get back before it gets dark. It's totally different. And the exposure to certain things is different.
So could it be why there's ADHD, the huge influx of different mental health issues?
I think these things were always there. You probably always had children that were probably maybe the diagnosis wasn't as up as it is now, but you probably did have children of that generation that did have those. And at school, you were just put in a remedial class. You weren't necessarily, they didn't have the setup, which is probably a lot better now, where you have schools that are set up for children who have maybe special needs and things like that. So I think it's probably being diagnosed and being recognised now, whereas it wasn't. You just was looked at as being different or odd or
amazing.
Using a word that's not nice, silly or stupid or something like that.
But I mean, I think that's a valid point, Ruth. But what I found is every child, and whereas
every single child,
it's every child, and and I think that's concern. And I think what it is the discipline is out of the picture that children have learned, and a child will come into my care home and tell us quite clearly. You can't tell me what to do. You can't touch me. You can't do this. You can't do that. I know my rights. Children need boundaries. I'm not talking about physically discipline, but they need to know that the adults are the ones that, are charged with safeguarding them. And that, there's a point where, they need to adhere to some boundaries that are governed to keep them safe.
And that's gone. So that's making your work difficult as a social
That's
caregiver.
gone because in our environment we might talk about sanctions if a young person does something wrong. It's like, who's teaching them what's right and wrong?
Right.
And if the wrong occurs, the sanctions aren't there. There's no consequence.
Yeah.
So what does that teach a child, and how does it prepare them then for the real world? Because when you go into the world of college or work, where we don't have the same restraints as we might have in a children's home, they're not going to be met with the same freedom to do what they want. Life isn't like that. So I think Ruth, fundamentally that's parental rights and so on has been eroded, and children have been given so much rights. And I'm not suggesting they shouldn't have a voice, because of course they should have a voice, but there is a sense that an adult has the responsibility to care.
Right.
But a lot of that is power
has been taken
away. Yeah.
Ruth, thank you so much for the call.
Ruth.
We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Professor. God bless. Bye.
Bye.
That was an interesting conversation, and I think that conversations like this need to be had in a round table with the government in them. You've been in the industry for all of us, over 25 years, and you've seen the changes, you've seen the transition. Don't you think that maybe it's time for you again to transition, make another change by maybe suggesting to the government or sitting on different panels with the government and bringing in some suggestions, because you've been here and you've seen how things have changed, and now you're seeing the effect of the changes. Don't you think that you should be sitting with them?
a short
Because
answer.
there's some policies they're making
Yeah.
outside, when you're not on that
Yeah.
table, and yet you're a stakeholder in this industry.
Yeah. A short answer for me personally, no. And I tell you why no, because I do show up at forums and have done. And as I said, I started in social services in the 90s, 1990. I started in community work in 1985. And I've sat on a number of committees, and I've sat around at the round table with a number of discussions. And even as current as last year, they were talking about the same things.
So there's no change.
There's no
They're not willing to
change. There's no change. There's no willingness to change. And I think
But is that where you now give up and you now say there's nothing you can do?
I think it's, if I'm honest, there's a creative side of me that I've had to pause, that I'm ready to pick back up. And so I'm like, let somebody, my writings, my my clothing line, etc.
So you feel like you can't go, can't carry on because the government is not.
I don't think it's the can't. I think I'm making a choice not to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's deep. You're making a choice.
I think I'm making
blatantly.
I'm making it. I think certainly for me, I believe that over the years there's been enough people that I've interfaced with to know that they're torch carriers.
Yes.
They don't need me. I think there's enough people who have a vested interest in young people to make the noise.
Yeah, you feel like you've reached
and
the end
they've
of the
got
road.
more energy than me, and I do believe that, because I think but sadly the powers to be, the ones that are the policymakers, are very far removed from the grassroots, unfortunately.
They're somewhere on holiday
on another planet,
sunny country, and yet they're making policies.
And I think that is
those,
what's wrong, because what I've learned, especially in the care service and social care arenas, everyone wants to justify their own existence. And so if everything was okay, then a number of these establishments and so on will fall away, because there will be no justification for their existence. Yeah.
Now, you know that the children and indeed the youth are the basis of a country. If Prime Minister Keir Starmer was watching right now, what would you tell him?
I would say pay close attention to the real world, because I think that is what is missing, the real life common sense. Because when I look at some of the policies that are in place around children, and some of the things that are imposed on, whether it's care workers, social workers, and they're expected to do them, it makes no sense.
Right.
And the environment is very blame orientated. It's a blame culture. So people become more concerned with covering their back,
so they don't get in trouble.
So they don't get in trouble.
So therefore the youth,
pushing against
the youth is missing out.
Yeah. Than pushing against the establishment. And that's what I found in my own career, because I've never been a told a line person.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that grates against the system. I've just been fortunate enough to be in a position to steer my own ship to a large extent, but more importantly, be able to let go of anything that is going to cause me to compromise it.
Right.
And those are choices. So when I say I make a choice, I think what the message for people is, make a choice about what you believe in and what you don't. And take the risk and be able to stand up to what you believe in, because in the social care environment, it's a blame culture. And you either toe the line or you don't. You don't.
This is from someone who has been in the industry for more than 25 years.
With a lot of struggle.
With a lot of struggle.
With a lot of struggle.
The first time I met you was 2012 at my TV show. And that was to talk about Shai Foundation.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about that, because back then you had missions in Haiti, feeding, and building schools and, so on and so forth. Talk to us about that, because I do really admire, you don't even come from Haiti.
No.
And yet, honestly, I used to think you're from Haiti.
Did
Just
you?
recently, I thought you're from Barbados.
Yeah.
I honestly thought you were from Haiti, because everything you eat, sleep, wake up, it's Haiti.
Yeah. Do you know? I think for me, I live a life of service, and I have done from a child. You know, at school I would go and help old ladies shop or whatever. It's the essence of who I am.
Is it because of your faith as well?
I did that even before I understood the depths of my faith, because you know I've been of service to people, I would say, all my life. There's something inside of me that just, there's a compassion inside of me, and
I can vouch for that.
yeah, and I've had a life. You know, people say, "Oh, what's your hard story?"
Yes.
And even though my life hasn't gone in a straight line, it hasn't always been great. I haven't got a hard story. You know, I grew up with a grandmother that loved me. She instilled a lot of faith in me. She was a strong Christian. I knew she loved me. I knew I was loved, etc. And she valued who I was as an individual. So I had a good platform. And if you study child development, you would know that your formative years are the years that shape who you are.
She showed you the way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
similar
yeah.
to me. People always say, you know, why do I support different communities?
Yeah.
Did I grow up poor? Did I struggle?
Yeah.
And I always tell them, no, I didn't grow up poor. In fact, very, very wealthy.
Yeah.
When I came to the UK, that's when I knew there's poverty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but the upbringing, the seeing my grandfather especially, my grandfather was my role model. My grandfather feeding people.
Yeah.
My grandfather had this shop where I'm telling you, this shop the shelves would be empty within a week.
Yeah.
Because he's just giving out. He's giving
Yeah.
out, giving out, giving out. So similar to you come from that background where you have seen.
Yeah.
You have seen service for humanity. You have seen real love for humanity. You have seen community love, you know, and so then it just comes natural to you.
It does. And also there's this sense that, you know, we fundamentally, we're all human beings, and we may have different titles.
Yes.
We may have different starts in life, but
Yes.
you know, I always remember this from working very early on. In jobs where you have managers that were bullying people. And I think, well, when 5 o'clock comes, you don't own my label until 9 o'clock the next day.
Yes.
So I think one of the things I used to find myself doing when I was employed was to just inspire people to look, they don't have the right to treat you like you're lesser than.
Well, sometimes HR might pull you on the side because they're thinking maybe you're trying to form a rebellion.
Listen,
a group of
I've been told at a young age, get off your soapbox. I mean, you know, get off your soapbox. But you know, as I said very early on, know thyself. Like, what do you actually believe?
Yeah.
And know your value. So for me, being of service is giving back. And I always felt, you know, and I think Mayor Angelou said that if you learn, teach, and if you get, give. And that's my philosophy, that there's enough. If I have enough, surely I can bless somebody else with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I really wanted to set up a structure, because obviously my business did well. And I wanted to set up a vehicle where I can then give back to others.
Right.
And, you know, the usual is to give to a charity, but not that I needed to have the full control, but I wanted to know where the money was going. And I thought, well, if I have my own charity, I will determine where the money goes, and I will make sure that the people who needs it will get it. How Haiti came around is I set up the charity in 2010, a few months after the earthquake. And of course, everyone was given to Haiti, and I gave to Haiti, but I thought, well, it's one thing to give to Haiti, but I'd actually like to go to Haiti, because I had a particular pride in Haiti, because they were the first republic in the Caribbean. Right. And Haiti was the richest region in the Caribbean at one point, with resources, oil and coffee, and, you know, really rich. And because they did
culture as well.
Yeah, and a rich culture. And because they did fight for their independence and won, they paid a heavy price for
the
it.
rest of the
To this day.
So you felt like you owe them.
So I thought, and I love travel, so I thought, okay, so I actually had said I was going to go Kenya, because I love the animals. That was one of my choices. Yes. Barbados, of course, because that's my country, and Haiti. But because of the earthquake, I thought, let's start in Haiti. And I actually thought I was going to go Haiti 1 year, 2012.
And that's it.
And then I would go somewhere else. And I went to Haiti in 2012 with a group of people. There were nurses, there were doctors, there were teachers. I mean, we
So
did.
you assembled all this delegation.
And we went and we ran clinics and we built houses, because what happened was a colleague of mine who had come out of the school of ministry that I got ordained in, she was interested in what I was doing. So she's like, oh, can I be the team leader? And I said, fine. I said to her, but research who's in Haiti and let's connect with someone. And so she found an organization that was building houses. So I said, okay, you know what we'll do? We'll support them and we'll fund for 2 houses to be built. So we started that. And then we went and saw churches and told them what we were planning to do. And the doctors and the nurses and everybody wanted to join us. So that was great. But I got to Haiti. And I will never forget that day, because I heard the Spirit of the Lord said, oh, you thought you were just going to Haiti for this one trip.
Yes.
But I want you to stay here. And I'm like, what? I want to travel.
Yes.
I want to go to Kenya.
You want to go to Kenya.
And also, a scripture dropped in my spirit, which was Psalm 85. And that was going to be the pray for Haiti. And it talks about healing the land. And so I met Pastor Sam, who then came on your show the year after. And he said, Jenny, you know, everybody goes to Port-au-Prince, which is the capital. Nobody goes to the south of the island. So it's very poor, very, very poor. And depleted. They have nothing. So could you bring your charity to the south? So that's what I did. So I went there, and we went there in 2013, and I'm like, my goodness, some don't have houses. The children don't go to school, because you can't go to school in Haiti unless you have a uniform and books, because they don't give anything. It's not free.
Nothing's free.
And I said to Pastor Sam, you know what, I'm going to start a sponsorship program, and I want you to pick the children, because you would know, because you're underground, who could benefit from what we have to offer. So he found a village called Chalette. And he said, you know, he calls me Rev. He said, Rev, this is the village. They're really poor. They really need your help. And so we thought, yeah.
So you took a whole village?
We took a whole village.
Oh.
We took a whole village.
And took them all to school?
We started with 60. And so as the older ones left, they added. And so our job was to send the funds to Pastor Sam. He had 3 people working with him, a small team. So they would enroll the children onto the program, enroll them into the schools, ensure they got to schools, that their parents got food parcels. And when I took my team from here, we would bring extra resources and so on. And we would do teaching. And I taught business, because people there are so creative. They've got so much to offer, and they're exploited. And, you know, so I taught them basic business, because if 10 people are selling mangoes, I wanted them to realize what gave them that little unique selling point. And, and they got it. They got it. And so it was just instilling the confidence, and they had to get up and do presentations for me, and they were shy, but, you know, you saw the results of that. There was one young man, and I mean, you know, he was mute. They said he was mute. He couldn't speak. And so he came onto the program, and he was sent to a special school. And we went back in 2014, and his dad stood up, because we would assemble all the parents, and they would just share how the year had gone or whatever. And he said, I heard my son say, Daddy. And, you know, he had us all crying for the first time. Fast forward, 2018, that little boy, and if you go on my website, you'll see the story, the Shea Foundation website. He's standing up saying, take a picture of me. This boy that couldn't speak is telling me, come on, take a picture of me.
Gosh.
Full speech. That
the power of believing in someone, and also the power of not giving a handout, but a handout.
Absolutely.
A handout.
Absolutely.
To help somebody to be able to get up. That's incredible. And so that's that's why I admire what you do from the first time I met you in 2012. And I'm really thrilled that you're still carrying on with the foundation.
Absolutely.
Yes, you're probably planning to retire on the youth side. Yeah. But not on the foundation, right? You're still
I don't know what retire means. I'm just shifting lanes.
Shifting
lanes.
Yes.
You know, I will always support young people in whatever way. Like in Barbados, my cousins have a charity that teach boys to read, so we support that charity in Barbados. So I'm going to go and speak at their closing ceremony later this year.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah,
so
now, I know that we're running out of time, maybe just a minute or so, but I wanted to know, what's the future for Jennifer?
Goodness, the future is interesting, because I've got the other part of my charity, or certainly my creative self, is that I wanted to be a fashion designer when I left school. And I'm an author, and I'd written a box set of prayer cards, and we're on Faith TV, so we can share that.
Yes.
And then out of that came a book, which is called Step by Step to Victory. And I've got a few books that I'm actually writing, one about the care service as well.
Fantastic.
But what was interesting for me and so fundamental is I said in my prayer, I wanted to have clothes for young people. No, I wanted to have clothes with my titles on them.
Yes.
And my mother passed away 2018, January the 31st to be precise. And I went to church with some of my friends. And in that moment, over 300 young people gave their life to Christ. And in that moment, the Lord spoke to me and said, that logo that you've been sitting
You have
on,
to give back to the young people now.
put them on clothes for young people. So I've launched a clothing line called Heb 7, which I'm really excited to have the official launch. My target is before the end of this year.
We'll give them more information.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to come back again.
Yes,
Yeah, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And I know that this wasn't enough time. We will have Jennifer here again, because
It would
she
be
has
my
got
pleasure.
so much to give. Thank
Yeah.
you so much to
But I'm
everyone
not
that
retiring.
called. Thank you. Until next time, goodbye.
You are watching Faith World TV. Faith World TV, changing the world with the Word of God.